time to go over my top 10 favorite films of 2022, brought to you by March of 2023 and a broken mic. I know I'm bringing this to you late, but I am bringing it to you, and I do recommend all of these films for you guys to go out and watch. If you just want to watch this to see what films you had on your top 10, then awesome. And if you don't see a film on this list that was on your list, then it's likely that I just didn't see it, or, maybe I just didn't like it. I guess that's only for me to know. Unless you ask, then I'll let you know. But if you don't care enough to ask, then guess you'll never know. For honorable mentions, I have 4 of them, and I'm going to rapid fire through these. It was The Whale, Prey, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, and The Batman, all of which were on my top 10 at some point in time, but just ended up falling off. I really do enjoy those films as well and recommend them. It was a good year for film, and so it's not like those were not good or they were just okay. I thought those were really good. I just narrowed it down to 10, and those were not on it. So yeah, let's start off with my number 10 favorite film.
Now, if I've done something to you, just tell me what I've done to you.
Well, you didn't do anything to me. I just don't like you no more.
You didn't like me yesterday.
My 10th favorite film of 2022 was directed and written by Martin McDonagh, The Banshees of Inisherin, which revolves around 2 really great friends, which we never see them being really good friends, because the movie just starts off with Donald Gleason's character wanting absolutely nothing to do with Colin Farrell's character for no apparent reason. And we start to figure out, and they explain like the reason as time moves on. But again, we never see them as friends. It literally starts off with Donald Gleason wanting nothing to do with Colin Farrell, and Colin Farrell really trying to figure out what it is that he did that would make Donald Gleason just not want to be friends with him anymore. It's a really enjoyable film if you like dialogue only films, dark films, and subtlety, like subtle dark comedy, which is what it is. It's not like, I mean, there are moments that are like dark, but they're not like, it's not like horror dark, right? So, but it's not gonna be for everyone just strictly because it is such dry humor, and it's very, I think it's particular taste that you would have to have. So it might not be for you necessarily, but if what I mentioned is for you, like again, dark comedy and subtlety and dialogue film, then I think you'll really enjoy this one. It has really nice scenery, really good performances by Donald Gleason and Colin Farrell, and just a good story overall. I'm a huge fan of Martin McDonagh. He's done the 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, which was my 3rd favorite film of 2017. Then he did 7 Psychopaths, which I really like, and he did In Bruges, which actually also stars Donald Gleason and Colin Farrell. I haven't seen it, but I do want to see it. Either way, like I said, really good. Check it out, and let's go ahead and move on to my next film.
When's the murder mystery start?
I've invited you all to my island.
Hi.
Because tonight, a murder will be committed. My murder.
My 9th favorite film of 2022 is a sequel, and that is going to be Glass Onion, a Knives Out story, which is a sequel to Knives Out. And just to get it out of the way, you do not need to have seen Knives Out to watch this movie that is on Netflix now. So if you want to see it, you can. It is a murder mystery. Benoit Blanc is back, and what happens is there are a group of friends that get invited to, well, Edward Norton became this very rich, famous, I want to say kind of like scientist in a way type of, he did something, I don't remember exactly what it is, but he's rich, he's famous, he gets all of his old friends once a year, like for one weekend, to solve a murder mystery. And Benoit Blanc gets invited as well. And so that's what's going on, is Benoit Blanc is once again trying to solve a murder that went down, but it turns into an actual murder that wasn't actually supposed to happen. And so you have your movie there. And if that sounds interesting to you, go watch Knives Out and watch Glass Onion, because these are both really good films with really good ensemble casts. David Craig is just phenomenal Is it Craig David? Is it David Craig? Anyway, one of the two. Both first names. You can interchange them. It makes no difference. Same guy. You know those movies where you're like, man, that guy, every time he was on the screen, he just like took over the scene. You know, usually it's like a side character or like a supporting actor or actress. And but he takes over every scene he's in, and he's in like pretty much the whole movie, if not the whole movie. If you enjoy kind of upbeat, fun murder mystery movies that are done well, then you're gonna love this movie. So go ahead and check that one out.
We were given 2 days to forgive the attackers before they returned. We hardly knew how to read or to write, but that day, we learned how to vote.
Do nothing.
Stay and fight.
Leave.
For my 8th favorite film of the year, and maybe it should be higher on my list. I don't even know. I made this list a while ago again. It finished before 2022, and it's March. So, I mean, after thinking about it, maybe it should be higher, but it is going to be Women Talking. And this film is starring Rooney Mara, Claire Foy, and Jessie Buckley. They're a part of a group of women who live on this ranch. It's back in time when women couldn't do anything, and they weren't educated, they couldn't vote, they were controlled by men. They had their place, you know. It was like they had their place in society, and that's just kind of how it was, right? It is clear in this movie that they are mistreated, and they are deciding as a group if they should stay on the ranch, if they should fight, or if they should leave. And you might be thinking like, obviously it's clear if they're mistreated they should leave, but you got to think like this is different times, and also the fact is they know that they have shelter and they have food and they have their kids there. So it's kind of like, for them, if they leave, they don't know what they're going to. They have no clue if there's going to be shelter, if they're going to end up, dying trying to find somewhere to find something to eat. Like, they just don't know what's on the other side, essentially. But it's come to a point where, like, it's a breaking point for some people. And that is what this movie is. It's a dialogue. It's a debate of what they should do. And the reason I say that this should even maybe be higher on my list, because as I think about it more, it's just I've never seen a film or a TV show that has impacted me, like, emotionally, hearing about just what women are have gone through. And I know that women still go through a lot, but at this time, there was so many more limitations on top of all the other stuff that does still go on for some today. For a movie to not show you any of the beating, so if you don't want to like watch something where like women are being mistreated like brutally and actually see it happen on screen, but still want to watch something empowering, I would say, in this. It's very empowering. It's sad. It's emotional. And Rooney Mara, Claire Foy, and Jessie Buckley all deserve nominations, and none of them were nominated. And I can't say I've seen every actress that was nominated to be Best Actress or Best Supporting Actress, but I can almost guarantee there is no way that one of these three women should not have been nominated for one of those categories. I think that's absolutely atrocious. And Women Talking was nominated for Best Picture. It's not like some bad film that you would end up nominating one of these women for. And that happens before. That's happened before. I don't know. It's crazy to me that none of them were nominated, and I think it's ridiculous and a huge snub. But anyway, that's what my thoughts on Women Talking. If that sounds like that's for you, go ahead and check that out. I think it was a really good film.
Who wants to play Bodies, Bodies, Bodies?
So how do you play?
If you draw the piece of paper that has the X on it, you are the murderer. Let's go.
Cool.
For my number 7 favorite film of 2022, it is going to be the movie Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. Bodies, Bodies, Bodies is about a group of friends, a group of teenage friends who are living in Florida, and there's a hurricane. That doesn't impact the story at all. It's just they having a hurricane party because there's a hurricane going on. I don't know if that's a real thing or not. But anyway, Pete Davidson's character invites all of his friends over for a hurricane party, and they're going to play this game called Bodies, 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 which is like Among Us. And if you don't know what Among Us is, essentially what happens is they all pull a piece of paper from a hat, and one of these people are going to be the killer. They turn off all the lights, and basically the survivors are just trying to survive. And whoever the killer kills lays down, and once one of the survivors find them, they scream bodies, bodies, bodies. They turn on the lights, and now it's a debate on who's the killer out of all of them. And obviously the killer is trying to diverge certain people into thinking it's maybe somebody else, or they're trying to pin it on someone else, because the objective of the game as the killer is to survive, be the one of the last two people surviving. And the objective of the survivors is to figure out who the killer is. They can vote somebody off, and if they're off but they're the wrong person, then the game continues. But anyway, someone actually dies. You probably could have predicted that, or if you saw the trailers. But I think this is a really great film because it's a fun kind of like horror game situation that goes on, but it's also dark comedy. They're using current like popular terms that people use, like teenagers use and love to overuse or use in the wrong way. And for me, I think it's really funny and just really ironic just how dumb some of them are, or ignorant that they come off of. And it's that kind of like ensemble of friends who also talk shit about each other, but are like friends to each other's face. And during this intense situation, obviously things get heated between them, and then it becomes like there's funny dialogue between it and all that. So that's why I think it's really, I enjoyed it. I think this is the type of film that's going to divide people. Either you're going to really love it because of that, or you're going to hate it. And also you're going to either really love the ending or really hate it. Like you're going to walk out of the film feeling like you completely wasted your time based off the ending. It's one of the two, but I really loved it. So that's my number 7 film of 2022.
Welcome to Hawthorne.
Here we are family. We harvest, we ferment, we gel.
We gel.
We gel.
For my number 6 favorite film of 2022 is going to be The Menu, which you can catch on HBO Max, I believe. Still, it should be on there. It's about a restaurant that's that's on some island. It's one of those experience restaurants that you have to pay a lot of money to go into, and the courses are more than just food. It's like art from a particular chef who's really well renowned, and that's what it is. And Nicholas Holt's character is a obsessed fan with him, and so he had bought 2 tickets for him and his ex-girlfriend, so he decides he's going to bring Anya Taylor-Joy since he's not with his ex anymore. Then Ralph Fiennes is the chef, and they realize as the courses progress, the reason that they're all there is for something very sinister. And it's another dark comedy. It's just a great year for dark comedies, in my opinion. Ralph Fiennes is so good in this, and he definitely deserves an Oscar. Anya Taylor-Joy is great. Nicholas Hoult is great as this obsessed guy. You have just this, again, another great ensemble cast. I mean, you have Glass Onion I had on here, then the last film, Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. Now you have The Menu. You have like an older couple that clearly things aren't going great for them, like an older rich couple, and things have gone on between them, and you feel this friction between it. Then you have the critic and the critic's like pet, essentially, where their pet like agrees with everything they say, and the critic just always has to say like random, you know how it is. And then you have Nicholas Hoult, who's obsessed with the chef, and Anya Taylor-Joy that's just like just wanted to go with a guy that she liked and just wanted to enjoy this experience, and he's like overly obsessed. And then you have like a group of kind of frat boys turned into rich assholes. It's such a great ensemble, great writing for the ensemble, great directing, great acting, really fun dark comedies, some moments that it was just laugh out loud. So if all that sounds interesting to you, and you also like seeing a really amazing bomb looking cheeseburger, this is for you. My 5th favorite film of 2022, I'm so glad I went to see it, and that is Avatar 2. Glad you went to see it, like if you weren't going to, and I wasn't going to. But what happened was I had never seen Avatar until last year. My brother asked me if I wanted to go see Avatar 2, and I'm like, all right, it's the biggest movie ever. Like, I should see it. You know, I'm a huge film guy, whatever. So I watched Avatar. I was like, you know, it's okay I'm not a huge fantasy guy. That's why I don't really care for it. And I'm just not a huge fantasy dude. So I'm like, it doesn't intrigue me at all. And it was like, it's good enough for being a fantasy film for me. Since I had seen it, and even though my brother didn't go with me ever, I was like, I saw Avatar. I'm not going to just have wasted 2 hours of my life watching this movie I didn't even want to watch and then not go see the second one. So I went to a Dolby 3D, and my God, this was the best film experience I have ever had in my life. I went to see Civil War for the premiere at the China what is it called, the Chinese theater, I believe, in Hollywood, and that was phenomenal. That was my favorite experience until I saw this. Just from the film itself, the technology was so advanced. It felt like I was there in that world. I don't know how else to really explain it. It felt like I was there watching all the events go down. And if you've seen it, you know how absolutely beautiful the film is. It like kind of left me speechless. I was sitting there watching this like the whole time in my head. I'm like, in my opinion, the movie was good. I enjoyed the movie. Again, it wasn't amazing. I definitely enjoyed it more than the first one, but it was just the technical aspects of this film, the score, the direction. James Cameron just absolutely killed it. If this it's probably not gonna be in 3D in a theater near you. Like, I don't think it's still going to be. If it is, check it out, please. Even if you're not like a huge fan of Avatar, please check it out. If it ever comes back to your theater, go see it. So good. Let's go ahead and move on to my top 4 now.
There's this guy that lives across the street, and he's always looking over here.
Looking over here, how?
Every time I look over there, he's just staring right at me.
My 4th favorite film, and the one that I think probably most of you have not seen, is called The Watcher. This is about a young girl who moves in. Her and her boyfriend move to another country because he gets work at another country, and they get a nice like condo or apartment. And she notices that when she looks out her window across the street in the other complex, somewhere high up, there seems to be a silhouette of a man just staring at her. And every time she goes to this window, he's always there staring at her. And as she's moving along the world in this country, a place that a language she doesn't speak, her boyfriend does, but she doesn't, she starts to feel like she's being followed by this person. So it's a very psychological horror, and it's one of those like some like bad boyfriending, if that makes sense. Like your girlfriend's trying to tell you like how uncomfortable she is, and she really believes this, and you just think she's crazy type of thing. And as the viewer, you're figuring out too as you go along. You don't know if this is just a figment of her imagination or if this is really happening or what's going on. But it's very, very intriguing, to say the least. This is right up my alley. Like, I love horror, but this kind of thriller, suspense horror is really where I'm at. That's my kind of niche. I don't think it's like, if you hate horror, you would hate this movie, because it's not like jump scares and things like that. So if you like true crime documentaries, I feel like you'd like this movie. It's just like, imagine a true crime documentary. It's just not a documentary of after the fact. It's like, while it's going on, you're kind of watching it. So I don't know. Maybe you don't like that. Maybe whatever. But we're gonna go ahead and move on to my 3rd favorite film.
What do we have here? God, here I thought we were special.
Fellas, this here's Bagman.
Hangman.
Whatever.
What the hell kind of mission is this?
For my 3rd favorite film of 2022, that is going to be Top Gun Maverick. And I don't think I really have to explain why it's in my top 3. But if you don't know what it's about Maverick, who was, if you've seen the original Top Gun, he was the kind of wild, he was a great pilot, but he was kind of on the edge, wild. But what happens in this movie is he gets asked to come back to Top Gun but not to fly, to teach the new group of Top Gun candidates. It's really about getting these candidates prepared for an incredibly tough mission that they have to go through multiple trainings for, while all at the same time, because of his reputation of being this kind of wild guy, this wild, do whatever it takes, even if it's not the safest thing. Like, he has that kind of reputation behind him. The main commander, played by John Hamm, doesn't really want him to be teaching. It's just the Iceman now is a higher up, and he wanted Maverick back to teach. So there's tension there between him. They don't believe in the way that he's teaching the kids, but he thinks it's the only way to teach them because it's a very specific and hard mission. You feel the intensity of that. You feel it there. Unlike Marvel and how it is now, you felt like there were stakes. You felt like someone could have died in the middle of these missions, not even like, or not missions, in the middle of these practices for the missions, not even just the mission. Like, you felt it was so difficult, such a challenge, and the way that the actors were, I think they were actually, I don't know if they were actually doing it or if I think they were in real planes and this stuff was actually happening to them. I don't know if it was on film or they just experienced it so they would know like what the experience was and then it was shot. I believe they were actually experiencing it in the middle of it though. And if it is, it shows. It shows. I know they were actually filming in real carriers and flying and things like that. Some of the moments where they had to hit like Mach, whatever it is, where they go unconscious or some shit like for a second and they come back up type of thing, or like wake back up. Like, I don't know if that really was like the real shots on screen. I'm not sure. But it was so intense. Really, it's one of those family movies. It's one of those movies, too, where you watch and you're like, man, I can just tell that this is going to get a whole group of people into the Air Force because they watch this and they get so inspired. It doesn't, like, avoid the shit parts. It doesn't tell you, like, this is going to be easy. It shows you the toughness, but it really brings a certain pride, like, to the Air Force. And I don't know what it is, but to sum up what I'm trying to say is I want to be in the Air Force. Like, I wanted to literally, after this movie, apply to go to the Air Force. I was like, this looks incredible, and the camaraderie and everything. It just. Do I really need to say more? I think we should just go to number 2 before I just go on a whole review about it on itself, like 15-minute review of just Top Gun Maverick. But anyway, number 2 of 2022.
I can see where this story is going. It does not look good. What's happening?
For my number 2 favorite film of 2022, that is going to be Everything Everywhere All at Once. I have my own review on that on the channel. I think I do for Top Gun Maverick as well. But Everything Everywhere All at Once, the title says it all. It's such a controlled, chaotic movie, but again, controlled chaos. And it really is, the movie is really about a mother and a daughter's love, but that's bringing it to the most simple synopsis that I possibly can. Really what it's about is the main character, played by Michelle Yeoh, who is incredible in this movie. All of a sudden, her husband seems to be taken control of. Her husband, played by Ki Hoi Kwan. Hopefully I'm not saying that wrong. He's nominated for Best Supporting Actor because he was phenomenal in this. But seemingly he gets taken over by another version of himself from another universe. And this person tells Michelle Yeoh that, hey, there's this horrible person that is going to destroy like the multiverse, and you're the only one who can stop her. She's sitting there like, what the hell's going on? Like, her husband literally just, in a snap of a finger, was this really energetic dude talking about the multiverse ending, and then snaps out of it, and now he's back to his old husband self, who's just kind of like just a regular old dude, you know, and he has no idea that even happened. And so she's confused as hell. But again, I can't really give too much. It's just so chaotic. Go check out my actual review if you want to see that review to get more in depth and why it's just so great. But this is a phenomenal movie. It's in my top 2. Great performances, great directing. It's just an all-around amazing movie. really funny in certain parts, really just on the edge of your seat in some certain parts, great action. You just get a lot of everything in this movie, and I really recommend it. But now we're going to my number 1 favorite film of 2022.
This isn't funny, Amber.
Would you like to play a game, Tara?
Doors unlocked. All doors locked. Doors unlocked.
My favorite film of 2022, and y'all, a lot of y'all are gonna hate me because you're like, how is this your favorite film of 2022? And that is Scream, and that is also my favorite horror franchise ever, and that is not a bias. It's not a bias. Because if I didn't like it, I wouldn't have had it in my list. So it's not a bias. But it's kind of biased because I love the Scream franchise, and this was a great installment of the franchise, and I cannot wait for the 6th movie, which coincidentally is coming out this month, and I'm excited for it. It is, like I said, a little bit of bias because it is my favorite franchise, so if you come out with a good film from the franchise, it's likely to be up there for me. Kind of like when It came out. Was it the best film of 2017? I think it was 2017. Maybe, I don't know, maybe not. Maybe I liked something else more, but it was just because I love it. I love that IP. I love Pennywise. Like, he's probably my favorite horror villain. So it's just like, it's kind of like that. It's just, you have the nostalgia, you have just this IP that you really love. On top of that, they made a great film. Now, like when It Chapter 2 came out, I don't even think that was on my top 10. Because the film was okay. Like, I enjoyed it for what it was, but I don't think it was top 10. Maybe it was, but it definitely wasn't number 1. Everything in this, Melissa Barrera, I think. Love that girl. Jenna Ortega, she's not in it a lot, but she was good. What's that dude's name? Son. He's in it. You just have a really good cast of characters, and you bring it back to kind of what the first and the second Scream film were all about. These horror tropes that everyone knows in these films. It's a very meta film, and it knows what it is, and it plays off of that, but it plays off of it in a unique new way, and with new characters. It was fresh, it was fun, it was just an all-around enjoyable movie. For me, great kills. One of the kills in this movie was one of my favorite ever, and it was so earned for me. Like, I know a lot of people have gripes about it, and I can't talk about it because it's spoiling it, but I loved it. And if you know what I'm talking about, then we're on the same page. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then you flip the pages. Maybe you have the wrong book. But that is my favorite film of 2022. Did our films match? Did you have films that were on here that you loved that were also on your 2022 list? Or the films that I missed? I don't know. Again, you gotta ask me. But if you don't care, then we'll never know. And that's fine with me. But I definitely, again, recommend everybody to go check out any of these films. They're all really good, including the honorable mentions I had prior. And with that being said, I hope you all have a great